The making of the music video for Hvenær kemur Soul last August marked the ending of a long and great weekend for us in the Netherlands, and we'd like to tell you a bit more about it. We had flown over from Iceland in the first week of August in order to perform an outdoor show in Nijmegen, but extended our stay for a few days so that we could do some preparations for our upcoming albums and crowdfunding campaign. Upon landing at the Schiphol airport on Wednesday morning, we went straight to the Silver Portrait store in Amsterdam, where we spent an entire day shooting photos, which eventually ended up on the cover for Pendúll. This age-old collodion photo technology requires a lot of skill and patience, since each glass frame takes about an hour to prepare, shoot, and develop. Consequently, it's an art form that requires a lot of thought and communication with the photographer. And so in the 5 hours that we spent there, we became really good friends with Annemarie and Barend, who run the business. Before our show in Nijmegen, we had also scheduled an entire day for rehearsals with our masterful string players Jean Samuel and Guillaume. Rehearsing was necessary since we were all rusty after being away from the stage for 18 months. Also, this was the first time since our Christmas tour in December 2019 that all 5 of us were together again in the same room. And so we spent a blissful 24 hours in a beautiful old house, rehearsing and cooking together, catching up and hanging out. It almost felt like a family reunion. The next day we rode to the Openlucht Theater de Goffert in Nijmegen, where we would perform our concert. This is a beautiful amphitheater surrounded by trees and a beautiful park with a generous stage and a great sound system. Spirits were high as we set up our gear, did our sound check and waited for the show to start. The concert was in many ways an inner journey for us. During the first songs we felt self-conscious and a bit nervous, but as the evening wore on we got more and more into our playing and our music, until we felt like our old selves again. The pandemic had denied us concert for so long that we had become alienated from our stage personas, but here in Nijmegen we found our way back. At the end of the show, Gunnar held an improvised speech which moved everyone, including us in the band. He thanked the audience for joining us in what felt like an artistic rebirth, and for sharing this truly special moment in our career.
Not a full scripture, but for example, every album has its own rune with its own meaning. So every album has 2 meanings or has a meaning.
With us this entire weekend was our creative team, as we call it, who are helping us develop the concept universe for Pendúll Blik. Until now we had just communicated with one another through Skype and Zoom, which of course is never the same thing as being in the same room, especially when you're talking about art and philosophy. And so now we used every free minute during our stay in the Netherlands to talk about our ideas and to brainstorm new ones. The creative team consists of our visual artist Peter Hoekstra, our manager Robin, and then this guy. Jasper van Geluwe is an old friend and videographer who has collaborated with us on several occasions through the years. He's a bundle of creativity, good vibes and fun, and also full of great ideas. In fact, it was his idea to make the collodion photo shoot because of how well this timeless technology gelled with our ideas about the concept of time. And now he had an idea for 3 music videos that he wanted to make with us during our stay in the Netherlands. And as always, when Jasper comes up with ideas like this, we happily agreed. But first, there was a party to be had. On our trip to the Netherlands, we had also been scheduled to play at Castlefest, but the festival had been cancelled last minute due to COVID for the second year in a row. A devastating blow to the promoters who had been working tirelessly for 2 years to make Castlefest happen. So, in order to lift the mood, Jasper and his girlfriend Charlotte hosted a Castlefest party in their garden in Rijswijk for friends and people from the Castlefest crew.
So, today we came together, and why? Because normally we would be having a great party at Castlefest.
Jasper had even prepared a small wicker ritual which we performed full of reverence in the honor of our favorite music festival.
There is no honest way of telling us apart.
We spent the entire next day with Jasper, his focus puller Glenn and our manager Robin, roaming around the surroundings and nearby towns of Rijswijk, shooting videos in various locations. And what a day it turned out to be, both fruitful and demanding. It was an unusually windy day, which posed some problems for us since it complicated the drone shots which we had planned. At the start we managed pretty well while we were sheltered from the wind by the trees, but as we braved the beaches outside The Hague, things immediately got a bit more messy. Our eyes and instruments filled up with sand, and the fretboards of our guitars got coated with a sticky spray of salt from the ocean. The wind was so strong that we sometimes struggled to keep our balance, and the constant blasting of sand threatened to do serious damage to Jasper's camera lenses. The beach also claimed the life of Jasper's drone, when one of its rotors got filled with sand, causing it to literally grind to a halt. Sand-blasted, tired and hungry, we took refuge for a few hours in a brew bar while we waited for the wind to subside and while Jasper and Glenn searched for a replacement drone. The craft beer company Kompan offered delicious beers which helped lift our spirits, and the food menu provided a well-needed dive into local gastronomy. Finding a spare drone proved to be a challenge. This was a Sunday evening after all. But around dusk we had finally gotten hold of a guy called Margin who could offer us a drone, and we could finally commence shooting the last video for the day, Hvenær kemur sól. We had been worried that we were losing daylight, but in hindsight the dusk and the twilight proved to be a blessing, since it only seemed to serve the mood of the video, and had we started shooting earlier, the video might not have had the same feeling. Even the wind that had been vexing us all day now seemed to root for our team. It played its part perfectly, breezing us gently while we sang, and Jasper moved around us with the camera rig. The wind even seemed to pick up the beat on the choruses and subside during the verses, almost like if on cue. The entire video is shot in one long take, and is really as simple as a music video can be. But simple videos can sometimes be the most magical ones. Without rapid cuts, side stories and effects, there's nothing that can take away from the pure emotion of the song and the performance. And for this reason, we are really proud of this video. Another interesting thing is the fact that when Jasper hit record and we started shooting, a strange feeling of serenity came over the three of us. It felt as if everything that we had done together in the past few days had been leading up to this, and that being here right now made perfect sense. In short, the recording of Hvenær kemur sól was a perfect finale to a great and productive weekend.